Hello and welcome to haQ attaQ. My name is Jakob. I'm your host and you're watching a haQ attaQ episode. This is Moog Model D. Well, no. Come on, why do you have to do this every day? Oh, Hello and welcome to haQ attaQ. My name is Jakob. I'm your host and you're watching a haQ attaQ episode. This is Moog Model D and we're going to have some fun with the filters. If you think that this version of Moog Model D looks a bit different, it's because I've just simply zoomed in to the things I want to have on screen. Well, it's got a zooming mode. It's very neat. We're gonna make some sounds and some modulated sounds, but we're only gonna be using the filter itself and its self-oscillating ability. And we're actually not going to use any oscillators at all. The first thing we need to do is to initialize the patch. And a lot of people are wondering, how do you do that? Well, it's hidden behind the saving feature. So go up here, look for the saving icon and just simply tap and hold until you get this menu. Then just press initialized. Now, just remember to go down and pull up a bit on the modulation wheel because it gets reset to 0. So if you want to do some modulations, you're not going to hear it unless you turn up this wheel a little bit. Right, so here we have an initialized preset. And we're now going to turn off the only oscillator on at the moment, and we should have no sounds. So to make the filter self-oscillate, we need to turn up the emphasis or the resonance of the filter. Now, be careful here with your ears. If you're wearing headphones or you've got your speaker system turned up loudly, just turn it down for a sec and just ride that volume a bit because this can be so sharp you can actually bust your ears if you're not careful. Right now, the only thing we can hear is the self-oscillating filter. So we're actually creating a sine waveform, and I'll show you. And we're getting the same tone no matter where we play on the keyboard. The cool thing with this filter is that it can be tuned to the keyboard. And we do that with this section here. So we're first going to turn on this one. Yeah, I know it doesn't sound that spot on with the tuning, but we can actually get this in tune. And to actually play the filter in a chromatic scale, we have to turn on this control. And we can tune this. And to do that, I would suggest turning on one of the oscillators. So let's do that. And we're going to choose a square waveform and just put up the range a little bit. As you can see, it can be a bit hard to hit the right spot because these dials are so sensitive, and when you lift your finger, you're gonna switch the position anyway. Anyway, it's just as tuned as we can get it. Let's turn this off. The cool thing is that since Model D is polyphonic, we can actually play this polyphonically. And we do that by going into the cogwheel menu and turning on the polyphonic mode. Now watch this. And we can easily turn this into a very shitty type organ kind of thing. Let's turn on the noise here. Turn it over to pink. Now I realize we're high in pitch, but we can actually turn down the pitch by pitching down the frequency because that's where we have to tune it since we're using the filter. Now there's more cool thing we can do with just filter sounds, like modulating it. And so I'm gonna go out of here because we actually need the modulation section now. I'm gonna modulate it with an LFO. So we go to the modulation mix, turn the knob over to the LFO mode, and if you do need a tutorial for how the modulation works inside Moog Model D, then just go and check my excellent tutorial on the modulation section. It's quite detailed. Now, to actually add modulation, we have to pull up on the modulation wheel, but we're not gonna hear anything yet. And that's because we have to make sure that we're actually modulating the filter. And to do that, we turn on the filter modulation. So I'm using the LFO and I'm now going to increase the rate of the LFO. So the filter is being modulated by the LFO, and now we can actually make this sound more interesting if we start fiddling around with the envelope for the filter. First we have to increase the signal of the filter envelope, and we do that with this knob here. And now we can start shaping our sound. So let's pull down on the sustain first. Now we can get more interesting sound if we just use a different modulation source. Right now we're using the LFO, but what happens if we use the noise instead? So I'm gonna switch it over to noise. Any type of synthesizer that has a filter that can self-oscillate can do loads of stuff. And so I do recommend that you try this out with other synthesizers. I hope you found this interesting. I find this interesting because I'm a nerd. I really like getting deep into synthesis, and so expect more videos on synthesis and just doing weird stuff with it. Thank you so much for watching. If you did like this video, why not share it with others, and why not press that thumbs up, because that really helps with the ratings around here on YouTube. These are two great ways of supporting me. You can also support me through Patreon, like many of my awesome existing Patreons already have decided to do. I can't formulate that sentence right. And if you don't want to do Patreon, I've got PayPal. If you don't like Patreon or PayPal, you can always buy one of my tracks off Bandcamp. Yeah, so if you subscribe, do not forget to press in the little bell thing, because that way you always get notified whenever I upload a new video. As usual, I wish you a very productive week. Now go finger all of your stuff and have a lot of fun doing it.